Move Swiftly Speaker checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. We do not teach how to rise to the occasion. We teach how to fall to your level of preparation. Solid 4 miles. That's all right. Final. That was the final morning. Actually, going to be the final morning. I'm leaving Phoenix tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So I'll be on. This will be the last Move Swiftly thought in Phoenix. Been out here for a couple of days on a business trip that has been absolutely incredible. Actually, I'll post some pictures from last night's gala at some point today. As far as today's Move Swiftly thought today, though, I got it because, tomorrow's going to be a really hectic day. Probably won't have time to do the live stream, so I'll talk about what I plan on. So I actually plan on talking about this throughout the week. But then I said, I'm going to push it closer to the. I kind of alluded to it last week when I was in Fort Lauderdale when the national when the national championship game was set between the Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. Yes, Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers in football national football championship is set. I wanted to make sure I addressed it because a lot of what I do, a lot of what I've created, the entire platform is built based on the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and all the lessons that I've taken to teach business owners how to operate like that championship team. So everyone's constantly improving it. And this story, the whole way that the matchup came about was somewhat nostalgic for two people. Again, last week I turned 37 years old last week. And it was the Saturday I turned 37 on January 8th. And the Saturday, there was a Thursday night game between the Miami Hurricanes and Ole Miss. Miami ended up winning on their last second drive. And it was nostalgic for me because I'm an individual who moved to South Florida to work for the Miami Dolphins Foundation organization. And, again, doing that work, it's all fan engagement. You run into a lot of youth fans and you spend a lot of time at that stadium, engaging with fans and things like that. So just the fact that it's kind of came full circle. We kind of came full circle from the South Florida community standpoint was really, really cool to see. And when you really think about it, so I'll give you a story about how I got into the business. So what I learned about the football business in general is, number one, football does not belong to the coaches, the players, or anybody within the organization. Football programs, football organizations belong to the community. And regardless of the outcome of the national championship game, the South Florida community is going to win. The South Florida community is going to win. You got a national championship game in Hard Rock Stadium right there in Miami Gardens, right? You got the representing team is the home team, the Miami Hurricanes. They use that as their home stadium. And even if the strong possibility of this happening, even if the Miami Hurricanes do lose to the Indiana Hoosiers, the quarterback on the other sideline, he's a kid born and raised right here, right there. I'd say right there, right in South Florida. He went to Columbus High School, grew up. Again, he said that he grew up right there, 2 or 3 miles away from the campus. Remember actually going by all the Lauderdale Council. We played Columbus a couple years back, and I remember going there and actually we beat them in Columbus, and then we beat them when they came to the council. I went to the council, if you didn't know, in Maryland. And we beat them when they went to Maryland too. So yeah, either way, and I remember that feeling. I remember that feeling of the Maryland team, who's supposedly only known for basketball, coming to South Florida and actually winning a football game. That was a huge deal because the community wins and the alumni, the people that have been through it, been there, done that. That too wins. And this Monday night, again, you're going to see a beautiful matchup because these are two teams that you don't normally hear. Well, outside the U back in the 80s, but you don't normally hear in some of the 90s. Like when I was growing up, the U was real nice, but lately, past couple of decades, they've been bad. So you're seeing new programs coming in, winning natties and stuff like that. And that's the important part is your community wins. The community is going to win the national championship regardless, and that's what you got to cling to. That's what you got to understand. It's not just about one individual. It's about an entire organization, entire community, and that's a lot of what I'm actually learning throughout this entire business conference. Just yesterday, they did the awards, and it's interesting to see, a bunch of people that have unique names like me been kind of looked down upon, been bullied their whole life, been made fun of their whole life, and they were able to attach themselves to an organization that made them, made them seen. They were allowed to be seen, they're allowed to be themselves, and it was just an incredible experience. And I'm looking forward to doing a whole lot more of it. So, main website to check out to dive deeper into all the work I do, everything employee development. It's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Make sure you book a call with me at as1c.com. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. As you can see, good morning. As you can see, all right, so first of all, we'll just get it out the way now. As you heard, yesterday's Move Swiftly thought I was alluding to not being able to do the Make It Move Monday, the Make It Move Monday kickoff question today. But as I sat back and I listened to all of those inspiring stories, and I watched all the people that I met and connected with all the people that I met this week in Phoenix, I'm like, absolutely, we're not doing excuses. And right there is what created the theme. And when you want to get into the content creation world, when you want to get into the entrepreneurship world, when you want to get into the world of living authentically and actually just going off the flow, really going after what it is you're going to go after, you're going to start to really question yourself and allow things to come and flow naturally. That's always been the goal. That's always been what it is I'm all about. So before I get too into the weeds, let me reintroduce myself to anybody that's new around here. First and foremost, the name, it's As1 Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 6-time published author and educator. I created this whole brand, this whole concept, this whole business, this whole platform that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff and/or a group of employees that moves like a championship high school or youth football team. All right, if that is you, make sure you book a call with me. Go to as1c.com. You can book your call right there, or if you want to find out who the hell As1 is, all right, just go to that same website and it'll have a button where it says who is As1, and all the information about me is available right there on makeyourmove.com. Whatever information you need to find about me, it's right there. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, subscribe, share this out. The keynotes and the books are available on the shop. Let me just pull up the shop button real quick here. Make sure you order a copy of my new book, How to Be a Win-trepreneur. You heard me correct, a win-trepreneur, where we're going to be breaking down those lessons. The book is sort of, it's a new age book. So now that I'm on book number 6, I kind of have a strategy. Definitely have a strategy towards how to go about it. It starts with the 8 clear steps on how to develop the win-trepreneur mindset. And then we're going to get into the Medium articles that I talk about here. I post Medium articles pretty much every day. I usually go over the ones Monday and Wednesday, and we're going to the actual physical book will be tweaked just a little bit when it comes to the actual Medium article. So if you really want to get a sample of my writing and what I'm all about, be sure to go follow me on medium.com. This is the article right here, the Make It Move Monday kickoff question that just got published literally 2 hours ago as I was on the plane from Phoenix. I'm actually doing a layover out here in Denver right now. I got a 4-hour layover here in Denver. And I was like, you know what? I got to do it. When I saw this guy, that guy that you're seeing on the screen, when I saw him on stage with his wife talking about how much he's earned given his situation, it was like, listen, man, I gave him myself one of them talks. I looked As1 in the mirror. I said, look, man, you can't be making no excuses. You can't be talking about, oh, you in this game for real, and then have this block of time and not do your live stream, not break the streak. I've been on the streak of a Make It Move Monday kickoff question it's been well over a year, not missing a Monday. And again, tomorrow we have Top 5 Tuesday. We don't miss around here. We do the daily Move Swiftly thoughts. We make sure we are as consistent as humanly possible, regardless of the situation, regardless of who tells you where you can record, what you can't record. If you do not put out the material, you cannot expect things to happen. Just yesterday, and I swear, I'm telling you this from the core. Just yesterday, I heard from, I did an article on one of my late youth coaches, Coach John Vassos, and just yesterday, I heard from, his daughter, I guess, ran across the article that I wrote a whole year ago, and she posted it in her story, and then we ended up reconnecting. And his son, Coach Rasmus, who I played with, his son Nick, he ended up reaching out, and we started reconnecting, and we're sure we're going to do some great things. And I'm looking forward to, kind of linking back up with him. All of these things won't happen if you don't make yourself discoverable, if you don't put the material out there, if you're just sitting back hoping things will happen, if you're just sitting back, quote unquote, developing, or if you're sitting back just collecting information. I had a great coach, shout out to Dre, who would call a lot of people out there, Ken, because information is at our fingertips. There's a lot of people out there who are pigs. That stands for professional information gatherers. They do absolutely nothing with the information. They just gather it and gather it and gather it and don't do a damn thing about it. And they're wondering why they're not excelling. They're wondering why they're not getting better. So today, what we're going to talk about, the Make You Move Monday question, kickoff question, sort of going to be a balance. It's going to be a balance of me recapping my last 3 or 4 days out in Phoenix, and then also posing the question, what exactly is your excuse? What exactly is your excuse? And again, we all have, I'm not talking at you when I come to this. I make tons of excuses. You guys heard one. You actually heard one this morning when I played the Moose Filthy Thought from yesterday. I was already making excuses about not doing the live stream today because I was going to be traveling. But again, there was a certain energy, a certain amount of advice, certain type of people that I've been blessed to be around that makes it so I can't make that excuse. I'm not going to be making that excuse. And again, you can see me here doing the same live stream like I would do whether I was traveling or not traveling. So all that being said, let's jump into the article and everything we are going to be discussing today. So here we go. Make You Move Monday kickoff question is, what is your excuse? Now, again, I sort of started mentioning this on the intro, but this was there was a lot of inspiring things over the past couple of days and being in Phoenix. Now, this was my first ever convention with WFG, and we have another one in 90 days. So pretty much every 90 days, I'll be traveling. I got to now adjust my budget and make sure I'm doing things the right way to factor in these conventions every 90 days. But this one right here absolutely hit home. It absolutely hit home because this guy I've seen at so many different events. He's been on, and I just never had a chance to talk to him because, we actually this New Year's, we were at the guy who runs the kind of the team leader of the whole thing is a guy named Kat, and he had all the people over for New Year's this year. And I remember seeing him there and, not really thinking much of it, just wondering if he was at the business, never really kind of getting an opportunity to talk to him. But, he was there at the convention and I never really engaged with the guy. But when I saw him on stage with his wife, and the first the charisma, because the first thing he said when he got on stage was he goes, "This is my wife who literally pushes me everywhere I go, pushes me to be my best." And it took me a minute to get it, but I was like, yeah, I get it. She's pushing him because he's in a wheelchair, and obviously he's, I think he was born with some birth defects or whatever the reason is. But you look at that guy, and you think about the amount of things that was told to him when he was younger about what he can and can't do, given the situation or given the way he was born, all of the negativity, all of the people that have just kind of reasoned with him and how easy it was for him to believe all that and for him to be on stage talking about how much he earned based on a business that's built around the system, teaching people multi-handed income, teaching people how to invest in themselves, teaching people just the rules of how to, manage your money. There's so many things you don't know about how to manage your money, and for him to be able to take those lessons and teach them so well to where he and his wife can be on stage and be honored and be recognized, that is a lot, because there's people who've been born and been totally fine, have all their limbs, have everything they need, walking around, and they make a ton of fucking excuses that make no damn sense. And you look at that and it's like, what exactly is your excuse? You have no excuses. You have absolutely no excuses why you're not getting things done and why you're not going to make this the best year of your life. Period, point blank, end of sentence. So again, that's the reason for the image today. So let's jump into the article, because I'll cut it. I'll cut it at around 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how far we go. But anyway, yes, that is the question. And yes, it's being asked in a way that is meant to make you uncomfortable. Hear me. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. Just yesterday, I had a breakthrough. I had an absolute breakthrough, because my trainer, the person that got me involved with the business. Again, I'm not allowed to say her real name at this point. I'm hoping that changes very soon. But her name is this platform. Her name is Pocahontas for this platform. But she tells me, and we went out there, and she tells me, oh, well, Aswan, you're too comfortable being uncomfortable. You're too comfortable being, and so very like eerily similar to the kinds of things my ex would tell me, and the kinds of things that I would hear from my mother. It's like, you're too comfortable in survival mode. You're too comfortable being uncovered. You're too comfortable just constantly grinding and going and going and going and going and going and going, which is a fair statement. And I'm still kind of digesting the remarks as we speak. So I'm not going to comment too much on that right now. But what I will say is today's question. And when you see this image and you hear that question right there, what is your excuse? It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to make it so you start asking yourself, what the hell am I doing? Am I actually going after my goals? Am I actually really putting all I can into whatever it is I'm trying to do? Am I actually not taking it for granted that I get another day? Are you not taking it for granted that I actually get to walk around, have a roof over my head, or have a family that loves me, or what exactly is your excuse? All right, so again, it's being acted in a way that's meant to make you uncomfortable. This week's Making Move Monday kickoff question comes directly after I spent 4 days in Phoenix, Arizona for a conference that forced me to look in the mirror, not as a critic of others, but as a judge of my own excuses. Because of what I witnessed there made one thing painfully clear. Most excuses don't survive the right environment. All right. So hear me, and this is speaking from the heart. Most excuses, if you're in the right environment, again, we have excuses, a lot of shit that happens, a lot of things we can say to make it so we can justify all our bullshit, right? Justify our shit in terms of, hey, I don't want to do this because this is on. I don't want to do this because the weather is bad, or whatever the situation is. But when you get around the right environment, it just doesn't survive. It doesn't survive. If I'm sitting here listening to a man who used to drive taxi cabs in New York talk about $250 million that he's making, or some crazy number like that, and he's talking to us on stage, shit, I don't have excuses, right? You just don't have excuses when it comes to that kind of stuff. So the room changed the question. Over 4 days, and I'm going to give you a briefing of it. Over the 4 days, I met, listened to, and connected. Here's the key part right here. I connected. It was, yes, you can meet people, you can listen to them, you can go to conferences, you can pay the money, you can listen to the YouTube videos, you can do all the self-improvement shit out there. There's tons of it. There's hours upon hours upon hours of material on self-development, improvement. A lot of gurus out there that are telling you a lot of different things. Great, do it. Again, do it. But when you can connect, folks, here is the key word. The connection is what is important. You've got to absolutely connect with these people, or it will not do a damn thing for you. I'll give you an example. So yesterday, and I didn't even plan on telling the story, but when I say connect, here's what I mean. The last session yesterday when we were in Phoenix, again, I'm sitting next to Pocahontas, who, again, not allowed to say the real name, but we'll call her Pocahontas for the sake of this. Sitting next to her, and we're listening to these speakers. We're listening to these speakers talk about how they built their businesses and how they're doing great things. And then there was a lady up there who was from Brooklyn. She's from Brooklyn, I think she was Guyanese, but living in Brooklyn, New York, just like Pocahontas, again, Guyanese, but she's from Queens. Same, myself, I have a ton of family in Brooklyn. I went to Stony Brook University. I grew up in Maryland, but most of my family resides in Brooklyn, and I went to Stony Brook and all that. A lot of my core in terms of how I grew up, a lot of it is New York, in New York, based in New York, right? Anyway, she was speaking, and I remember whispering to her, I'm like, man, I gotta meet her. I gotta meet her at some point. Because of just the background and the way she was able to get herself on stage, right? So it was thousands of people there. I didn't get a chance to actually meet and sit down or, go and find her after the event ended. But after, we as a team got together, and I remember getting with both me and Pocahontas, both of our mentors, both of our mentor. Again, I'm not allowed to put names out there yet. I don't have permission, so I'm just saying it because I don't want I don't want them there. They're not as public online as I am. So I try to be respectful of people's privacy and stuff like that. But we had about a 2 hour conversation between myself, some of the new people that were also in the business, some of the newer people like myself that were in the business versus the people that have been in the business for a couple of years. We all kind of split apart, right? So after all that was done, after we had that 2 or 3 hour, it was about an hour and a half meeting in terms of, hey, reaching out to people, let's get our schedules, let's figure out what we're going to change. Again, 90 days goes by really quick, and we have another convention to be at, and it's going to be actually in Tampa. So 90 days goes by really quick, and we want to set ourselves up to really have a successful next 90 days. So as we're leaving to go back to go leave, grab some lunch, I see the same lady that was on stage. I'm like, oh, perfect, So again, introduce myself to her. I kind of tell her the story. Actually, I think she sent the selfie. Yes. I'll put it out there right now. It's a group chat. Let me show you. Yes. All right. So this is it. This is her. So she sent I'm gonna show you. Let me make sure you can see it. This is her. As you can see, right? So she sends a selfie, or she takes a selfie, and this was the lady on stage. This was her. And I'm bringing all this up because when I say connect, I mean connect. And not only was it a great connection for myself, but it was also a great connection for, again, Pocahontas, who brought me into the business because she too is Guyanese. She's putting out her own children's book that should be happening within the next month or so. And she had all these plans of going to New York and connecting with this one, connecting with that one. And again, a lot of my family, a lot of where I learned the business and doing a lot of things as I grew up, a lot of that is based in New York as well. And that's how you connect. It's one thing to sit back in the crowd and listen to somebody on stage. It's another thing to actually connect, shake hands, exchange social media, jump on this Zoom call, jump on that Zoom call, and then see the support throughout the next couple of days. And I've heard this on many occasions. You never really go to the events, but you don't pay money for the events for the speakers. You really pay money for the events to the people that you're going to get the opportunity to meet. And then you have an opportunity. The cool thing about this particular convention is we have an opportunity to invite more folks to these events so we can continue to introduce folks to this new way of living, this new mindset, and really weed out the bullshit people. Like, bring in the folks that are serious about their future and serious about where it is they're trying to go versus the folks that are just fucking bullshit. That's the opportunity. It's like a filtering system. It's like a grader. You take some cheese and you put it in a grater and you just filtering out people. Or not, what's the noodles, right? Yeah. So I would boil, when you boil rice, you take the rice, you put the rice in the pot, you boil it, and then you put it in a little grater and you just filtering out. That's the same thing with the conventions. It's like, all right, hey, look, boil up the rice, make people uncomfortable, and now just filter it out, and find the right people that can actually take the rice and you can put the shit on your plate, and then you can eat. That's the point. You're gonna eat, right? So again, I know I got a little long-winded on that, but that point about connected is so absolutely important, and you have to take that home. All right. So I met, listened to, and connected with some of the most unlikely people. And this was a big part. It was unlikely people who built extraordinary wealth and impact. When I say unlikely people, I am talking about myself. Understand. I have grown up from the moment from all the way back to where I can remember, as the misfit, as the one with the weird name, the ass one, Shankin, the guy that has a curse word in his name, what is his magical ass with crook and shoot, being made fun of, being told how stupid I was from teachers, and very not really having any real friends outside of being a part of the football program where I found my acceptance. But the kind of people I was around were a bunch of people like me who have been told by the conventional thinking to go fuck off because you're just too different. I don't want to remember people like you, but have figured out and did not let that be an excuse. It actually became their reason. That was huge, absolutely huge for me, because that thinking, or the way I had to grow up, and the way people looked at me growing up, it doesn't change. It doesn't change just because you become a grown adult. It doesn't change in terms of the conventional thinking. The majority of well over 90% of the people out there are still going to have the same mentality where they're going to shrug off the folks like me, which is fine. That is totally fine. You don't want them in your circle. You don't want to be in that place where thinking like a typical 9-to-5er. You don't want to be that person who's just thinking, okay, a salary is going to sustain me. No, you want to be thinking like a person that is creating multi-handed income. I'm going to be saying a whole lot over the next couple of period from here on out. You want to be thinking like a person that is creating multi-handed income and system-driven income that can be passed down to a younger generation. That's the way you need to be thinking. And you don't get there if you haven't been hurt. You don't get there if you're not vulnerable. You don't get there if you don't have people who talk shit and people who stabbed you in the back and twisted the knife and told you to go fight. You don't get there if you just, sit back hoping shit happens. You get there when you operate from a place where you have been broken down and had to build yourself back up and then get better. That's how you get there. All right. So again, who've built extraordinary wealth and impact. I'm talking about single mothers who had to move to the United States without speaking any English. I mean, there was one, man. Listen, there was one that I saw speaking on stage, and I immediately messaged a former colleague of mine who I haven't heard from in well over a year, and we're going to be getting together on Tuesday. It's like, yo, I just had to reach out to you because this woman reminded me so much of you and your situation. And that's what it's all about, man. It was great, right? So former Indian cab drivers, I kind of already mentioned him, who's making millions through a system-based income. People who've endured unimaginable tragedy, losing loved ones. When I say unimaginable tragedy, here's what I mean. I happen to, and this is just the way it is, right? So I got there yesterday a little earlier than when the convention started. And I just happened to spark up a conversation with another lady who we talked about how she got into the business and all these kinds of things. And she explained to me that she's in school studying to get her doctorate while she's running the business and stuff like that. And she had mentioned to me that she lost her son. She lost her son through some flood. Her son was 4 years old and she lost him through some flood or some tragic event. And she's there putting in the work. Unimaginable tragedies, guys. I mean, people on stage who lost their wives and, families broken apart. I mean, the tears were flowing as they were getting their stories out. It was unimaginable tragedy, guys. Unimaginable. Just the stuff that you would never in a million years want to go through. And they're up there doing it. All right. A mentor. And then towards the end of it, as me and the person who's, me and Pocahontas' mentor, he was willing when he asked me who exactly are my ride or dies, who are the people that I know is going to have my back no matter what. The three people obviously that came to mind: my mother, my father, my sister, the people that raised me. And he was willing to fly to Maryland just to meet them. He was willing to fly to Maryland. Again, we're in South Florida, guys. He was willing to fly to Maryland just to meet them. And again, that moment hit especially hard because for me, I'm a person who's been let down by so many leaders. I'm telling you, the pieces of me that you see broken is because I've been lied to and bullshitted by so many, let down by so many male leaders in my life. I've lost track to where I don't trust the shit people say. I don't trust what males who look to be successful. I don't trust what they say when they say they have your back. I want to see it. I mean, I only can move through based on their actions. And when he was willing to do that, it really, really hit home, man. So, and again, I watched, and this is where I know I got a little off topic there, but this right here is what sparked this entire question. Watch the man in a wheelchair being pushed by his wife, confidently explaining how he built his business. Leaned over to her name's Pocahontas for this, and I joked, and I was ready. And this is the real truth. I felt some type of way because I was ready to quit. And I remember because I called her after I took my test to get licensed. I failed it for the first time. And I was ready to quit after that. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this shit anymore. I don't want to take those damn multiple choice exams. And then she kind of started laughing. So we kind of had a moment there. So the excuse on it. As powerful as the event was, what stayed with me the most, and yesterday morning, I FaceTimed my mom, and obviously me and her talked quite a bit, and she was asking me, and she's always going to do this because this is just why I am the way I am. It's hey, what can be improved? There's nothing in life, no event, there's no perfect thing you're going to go to. Ozzy, give me the things that you can see yourself improving the event in the next 10, 15 years and stuff like that. So as powerful as the event was, what stayed with me the most was how much of what I visualized my future self becoming already existed in the room. So I've been taught enough self-development events to know this truth. I don't see myself as an audience member long term. See myself on that stage, not because I'm special, but because my story marries many others. So born with a unique, and again, I sort of already mentioned these things as I go, yeah, this is fresh off. This isn't even 24 hours from it. So I had to, it's funny because yesterday we were all going to go out and, go out for, I think they went to some hot air balloon, something they went to. And I was telling I'm not trying not to say the names, but I was just telling the team, hey, look, I got 2 articles to write before we do anything, leisurely, any fun activity or whatever. So again, special, born with a unique name, never fully accepted in the traditional school system, overlooked, labeled, made fun of by educated people, which I still deal with to this very fucking day. Forced to figure it out my way. In fact, one of the leaders, and again, this is the person's name right here, Johnny Marion. Introduced him. Now he's one of the leaders of the organization. I didn't know who he was before this event, right? So he introduced himself in a way I'll never forget. He goes, "Hey guys, I have my PhD, a public high school diploma." All right. So catching myself in real time. Here's where this question turned personal. All right. So let's get back to the kickoff question. I'm gonna close you guys out real soon. Catching myself in real time. Here's where this question turned personal. The morning before the final day of the event, I said something casually but telling, because I already kind of said this. So because I'd be flying back to South Florida, and because it was MLK Day, I told myself I probably won't do the live stream. Travel, holiday, timing, excuses, yada yada yada. Then something happened surrounded. Yes, I already kind of touched on this. So the real answer to the question. So what is your excuse? To the honest answer is we all have them. So here it is right here. We're going to break it down. We're going to close you guys out with this understanding, this concept, right? The real answer to this question, what is your excuse? The honest answer is we all have them. The real question is when you just answer it and you say, hey, where am I calling me out on my shit? Where am I bullshitting? Where am I not giving my best? Where am I not putting my best foot forward, right? What is your excuse? We all have them. The real question is, are you getting yourself around the right people often enough? This part right here, often enough that your excuses do not turn into inaction. There's no avoiding the fact that you're going to make excuses. It's going to happen, all right? Even after an event like I went to yesterday, it's a sugar rush, going to get into the grind. Actually, I just read an email from the school I teach at, and it's already actually aggravated me just to tone the way that I was reading in the email, and the kind of nonsense that I'm sure I'm going to have to rectify tomorrow, but we won't get into that. The excuses, again, we all make excuses out there. The real question is, are you surrounding yourself around the right people often enough? Are you getting around the right people often enough so your excuses don't become something that you're not taking action on? So if you don't feel, let's say if you don't, we'll break it down in the fitness standpoint, the workout standpoint. If you don't want to wake up in the morning to work out or whatever because, hey, you want to hit the snooze button or whatever, and you actually do. But throughout the course of your day, you're around the right people, and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to squeeze that hour, that 30 minutes to an hour to get something done, to take a walk, to do a little bit of jogging, to go into the gym, get on the treadmill, something. That is you having the right amount of people around, the right people around you. So the excuse that you had that morning didn't just turn into inaction. You have to take action on something, and then that's where the development work begins. You cannot make it so these excuses that we all have just turn into no action at all. All right. Because the missed action becomes missed opportunity, and missed opportunity doesn't announce itself. It just quietly moves on to someone else who showed up anyway. All right. So the closing thought, this week's theme isn't about shame. It's about responsibility. Excuses don't disappear on their own. They get exposed in the right room. Right. They get exposed. And when they do, the only acceptable response is action. So action step again, if this question hit a nerve, it's not by accident. Excuses shrink when there's structure. They disappear when there's accountability, right? If you're a business owner, leader, or professional who knows you're capable of more, but recognizes the environment, the alignment, execution matter, let's talk. As1C.com. Again, just simply book your intro call with me. If you want more information on me, just hit that Who is As One tab. everyone out there, as one correction, want to know. Again, tomorrow we'll break it down. We'll break down. So, all right. So tomorrow, actually, before I close, let me kind of give you a briefing on where we're going to go tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to go into the top 5 excuses that people make out there. And there is a top 5 excuse making out there. People make a ton of excuses, and they're all coming from a place that if we can figure out what they're going to say before they say it and be predetermined, have it predetermined in our head how to respond to these things, then you'll start to see yourself around the right people and getting better results. All right, so we'll break all that down tomorrow. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out to anybody that needs to hear it. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.